Hey everybody, welcome to the Christel Crawford Show. I'm your host, I'm Christel Crawford, and I'm going to start this show off today by telling you about two of my favorite beauty products that pick me up when I'm feeling a little bit gray, because why not do something different today? Alright, so as you guys are joining live, Sheena is still awake. She's in Australia, she's been up all night. I'm not even going to tell you the topic of the show. Yes, I am. The topic of today's show is weight loss, all the weird secrets. Now, this is not going to be your typical weight loss show because that's boring. Two of my favorite beauty products to start this show off with something weird and random is Charlotte Tilbury's Beauty, what the fuck does this called? Beauty Light Wand, okay? Beauty Light Wand. Listen, this thing makes all the little bits that make you look tired. This makes you look like you're 20 when you are not 20. This is one of my favorites. And this lip gloss, Buxom, is neutral and also mauvey and also feels like it's rejuvenating your lip with little bee stings, but like in a really warm, fuzzy way. This is probably my favorite lip gloss of all time, and I have tried all the lip glosses. So when you're feeling tired and you have to do a Facebook Live, these are two of my favorite products, okay? I have no idea why I'm telling you that, but I am. Apparently, I'm gonna start being a rep. Guys, if you do unique and all that, don't contact me. I don't wanna do a multi-level. I just like makeup, okay? I love your guts. That's my plug. Okay, today's show. Hi, shall we? Hi, Barbara. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Kitty. Let's do it. Let's talk about this thing. Let's talk about weight loss from a totally different point of view, shall we? Because I don't know about you, but weight loss has been a huge topic in my world since I was born, because I was born to a woman who had 5 kids, who, when she had me, was 21 and had a big thing about weight loss in her world. So I have been in Weight Watchers since I was 14. This is not a new conversation, but I'm about to start a class called 21 Days to Create New Choices with Your Body. I am myself creating something different with my body. When I was in Florida facilitating, I actually weighed myself for the first time, and I'm not actually sure when the last time I weighed myself was, and it said 175. And I looked at that, and it was actually such a moment of clarity and joy for me, because for the last 6 years, I've been letting my body do what it do. I've been kind of eating what I want, not really moving, and so I've created this body. I love my body. This is not a body positivity conversation. Hi, Suzanne. This is a different conversation. And it wants to be smaller, and it's wanted to be smaller for a while. So I started looking at, when I change something now, I start looking at it from points of view that I wouldn't normally look at. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Suzanne. And so one of the first things that I started to do when I was wanting to create a change with my body is I went into this big body of tools called the reference materials. Now, the reference materials are this sort of catch-all for every single bit of class material that gets taken out of any of the Access classes over the years. And it's a fucking gold mine. And one of my favorite things about Gary Douglas is he never, ever, ever looks at things and takes them at face value. So for example, if there's something going on with a person's body in the terms of cancer or fibromyalgia or anything, his first response is not like, oh, that's so sad. It's, oh, what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? How can I change it? That's his point of view about everything. So the entire work that is Access Consciousness is created from that point of view. And what I've really, 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 really gotten, especially as I've begun facilitating body classes more, is that every single thing that's going on with our bodies is, number one, a creation. Just like everything in our lives is a creation. Everything that we do with money is a creation. Our relationships are a creation. Our bodies are a creation. Our bodies are sensory organisms. And our bodies give us way more information than we're willing to have. 98% of the time. And the fourth thing is that we tend to go to conclusion about stuff with our bodies faster than, well, I don't know if it's faster than almost any area of our lives. We go to a lot of conclusion with money too. Hi, Ann. Hi, Bobby John. Hi, Letitia. Hi, Kim. But what I have noticed that with body stuff in particular, the conclusions are really rampant. And the fucked up thing about going to conclusion about anything is that you can't you absolutely cannot see anything past what you've concluded is true. And I had some really cool conversations this weekend with my partner. Now he's so amazing. And he does a lot of conclusions around what's going on with his body. And we had a great conversation about that, because we both came down with this really intense virus-like stomach thing for a couple of really intense days. And for the first time, I could have a really different conversation with him about that. And, he was trying to figure out why it was happening and all this stuff. And I said, you may want to just look at, one of the things that he was looking at is like the food that he feeds his body. And he's like, well, it must have been this food or that food or this, trying to find the reason that this occurred. And I said, I was like, does finding the reason actually change it? And I said, one of the things that you could do if you wanted was just ask your body more questions about what it actually wants to eat, when it wants to eat that. Because he really wants to be healthy and be around for his daughter. He's got all these really good intentions. But he's also got a lot of fixed ideas about what it takes to create that. And this is really circles back to the original topic of the video, which is the weight loss topic. That when you have a lot of fixed ideas about what it takes to create weight loss, then you'll go after it with your fixed ideas, and it may or may not actually work for you. But if instead you're going, okay, I'm choosing to lose weight, I'm choosing to create a smaller body, whatever the words are, okay, this is happening. What can I actually, body, show me the way. What can we actually do or be here that's different? Not just like, that's a slight change. Like, I'm sitting in a chair, but I'm going to change the way I'm sitting in the chair. But that's totally different. Like, if there was no chair, if I didn't have to sit, if, just different. What can we do or be that's different to create this change? Then a whole different universe opens up. And I had a lot of you email in questions. Actually, my team wrote the email, and a lot of you emailed in the things that you'd really like to change with your body. And I actually don't know that I'm going to get to all of that in this show. I think I actually have to do a totally different show or even a series of calls on that, because you guys had so many different things that you are looking at with your body that you would like to be different. And I'm really aware that when we've tried to change something from a particular place over and over and over, and it's never changed, then we're looking at the wrong thing. Yes, Samantha, I see your comment about your thyroid. See, exactly. So we've got a lot of body questions. I'm going to keep this show particularly to weight loss and use that topic to talk in and around body stuff. So you can use what I'm talking about for your thing if you're dealing with something. So where do I want to go with this? So for me, choosing to create something different with my body is different than stopping things that I think are bad or wrong. And the same is true with money, right? Like, you can just take this topic and extrapolate it to everything. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I've noticed since I've been making these different choices around creating a smaller body. One of the things that I noticed is that, oh gosh, I wrote this in the thread. We have a thread for my 21-day body class that some people are already playing in. Let me read this to you. Oh, so this morning I signed up I've been asking my body to show me the way. Like, what can I choose to support this process? You know how to create yourself smaller. I've watched you do it. What can I choose to support this? And one of the things that I got led to was the Weight Watchers app, which is actually super helpful. I really like tracking points, so that's kind of fun. But I'm using it more as a loose thing. So there's that. But then this morning, I also found an intermittent fasting app. Now, as a humanoid, which is different than being a human, food functions differently for me. Time functions differently for me. And if you're a humanoid, you may want to look at this. And I really have already been intermittently fasting without calling it that, right? Like, I don't generally eat anything until 1 or 2 o'clock, and I stop eating around, 8. But it's called a thing. It's actually called intermittent fasting. And it turns out that when you don't eat for long periods of time, it gives your body a chance to burn more fat cells and to actually recover different facets of your body's functionality, which is interesting because a lot of us have the point of view that without food, our body can't function. It's actually not true. Our body's 4 food groups are sugar and salt, water, and energy. If you have a humanoid body, you had sugar, salt, water, and energy are your food groups. Now, I haven't really, until recently, been willing to really fully claim this. I've done bits and pieces of this. I've sort of cherry-picked the body tools to do what I want, to sort of justify and do what I want, which is cool. But I'm asking for something different now, and this is why I'm talking about this for you. It's like I'm asking for total awareness with my body, and I'm asking for my body to be able to be the fullness of what it can truly be, the total contribution it can truly be, the gift that it can truly be, the absolute fullness of embodiment, whatever that means. And I really get that I've used food a lot of times to squash awareness. I've used food that's just eaten unconsciously after, I know the moment my body doesn't want any more food, and I just go after the flavor because it just tastes so good. Here's my story. So I've done a lot of those different kinds of things with food. But I've started really asking, like, if I were willing to let my body be as great as it could truly be, what would I choose? And so, all these tools. So I signed up for this intermittent fasting app. Now, it's a pretty cool app, actually. If you want it, you can message me and I'll send you the screenshot. It basically asks you some questions. It's like, when do you normally not eat? And it basically asks you, hey, what are your patterns? When do you normally not eat? When do you normally eat? What do you normally like to eat when you eat? And how old are you? And all this stuff. And it builds for you a customized profile of when it'll just ping you when it's time to start eating. And then you have a window where you can eat. And there's a whole group of foods from which you can eat and, nourish yourself and whatever. And then it pings you when it's time to stop eating. And then it also gives you a workout plan based on what your goals are. But one of the first things that it did is it said, okay, hey, what's your weight now? And what's your goal weight? Which is, when you've got a computerized thing, those are kind of the questions they ask you. So I put in 175 as my weight and 135 as my goal weight. Just plain. It's like, okay, cool. Well, you will reach your goals around May of this year. And that was a really, really cool piece of information, because one of the first things I realized when I got that information was I have been with my body functioning from a couple of fantasies, maybe just 2. One of them is that this food thing and this body thing will just take care of itself. I don't actually have to make any choices or be actively participating in creating my body. It'll just take care of itself at some point. Now, that's a point of view that I've functioned from for a long time with money. Money will just take care of itself. I don't have to really actively do anything. It'll just sort itself out. That thing where you're just like putting your head in the sand and you're like, oh, this will just work itself out. That's what I've been being with my body and weight and the size and the shape and the creation of it, right? So that was interesting to me. I didn't realize that's where I'd been functioning from. And then there was this other thing, that I'd been functioning from the point of view that the moment I make a choice, like that's it, this is changing, and I do like 2 days of new eating or just different choices with food, that my body will change overnight. Literally functioning from the point of view that my body will change overnight. And I realized oh, that's so cool, Carol. Nice. So I realized that I didn't realize I'd been functioning from that. And it's so funny, when you read the How to Become Money workbook, when you're changing money for yourself, the How to Become Money workbook is such a gift. One of the things he talks about in that class is that he's like, if you don't get results from this class tomorrow, you'll decide that this was a worthless class and you'll throw everything away that you just created in this class. And with most things in my life now, with money, with my business, with creating, I've really gotten that what's required from me is the willingness to play a long game. Like with living, okay? If we're creating indefinite living here, that's a fucking long game, right? It's not like if I'm not a millionaire tomorrow, then fuck it, I'm killing myself. We're in a long game here. And that was the second awareness that I had from that one piece of information from that app, is that I have not been playing a long game with my body. I've been literally just hoping it'll take care of itself, and one day this will just something. I don't even know what. See, that's the thing. It's total insanity, unconscious. So there's also a lot of other things I've created along with my body that are absolutely fucking miraculous. And so you might notice this for yourself, that in these different areas of your life, like with your body, with money, there's areas of that area where you function with a lot of consciousness and areas where you function with a lot of unconsciousness. And in regards to its shape and mobility and its functionality, I've been functioning from a lot of just, I don't want to deal with it. So that was a really cool awareness. And you may or may not be functioning from that too. If you are, the cool thing is that you have a new choice in every 10 seconds and you can just go, okay, cool, I've been doing that. What else can I choose now? That's how easy it is to change it. So I guess the third piece of that is that I really started to see how in this area, I haven't been willing to practice new choices. I really hadn't been willing to practice new choices. When I want to change a particular area of my life, money for me and business are probably have been so far the two greatest facilitators of me practicing new choices. Practicing using the tool interesting point of view, practicing choosing, because I've made a big demand of myself that I live the way I want to live, which means I travel where I want to travel, when I want to travel there. I have the clothes I want to have, when I want to have them. And I don't let not having those things be a choice, right? So that demand creates a lot of my reality because just does. That demand creates a lot of my reality. So I have not had any sort of demand in regards to my body. And I've been really sort of studying different bodies and different things and the gift that different kinds of bodies can be. And one of the things I asked myself is like, am I letting my body be the greatest gift it can be to me? No. What choices would I have to make to create with my body, to create my body, instead of tolerating my body, functioning within my body in total unconsciousness? Like, what would I have to be to create with my body and to create my body? I really had never considered like creating my body. It's not, even now, it's still sort of like, how do you do that? So if you come and play with us in the 21 days thing, it's christeljoycrawford.com/newbodychoices if you'd like to come play with us. We're going to be meeting every single day. And I did it every day for 21 days, knowing full well this is just the beginning, right? But I wanted to create a platform off of which those of us that are choosing something different can choose something different. 21 days creates a habit. And I've been really in all the areas of my life looking at the different habits of choice that I can choose that will create more, that will create a greater future. There's this really crazy point of view out there about making your bed in the morning. And I'm not gonna do it any justice, but there is this cool motivational YouTube video about making your bed, about the gift that making your bed is to you in the morning, and all the different things, all the ways that contributes to you. And Andres, my partner, has been a big proponent of like making his bed in the morning, and then he like goes downstairs and he has a hot drink, and then he puts on like a meditative music or motivational speech or whatever he does. But before I met him, had created his reality, so he had all these little daily things going on to support the man that he wanted to be. And so when I met him, he had all this rolling and he had all this in place, right? And I'm doing all this access consciousness stuff. So we had a lot of similar things going, but one of the things that he was better at than I was the daily choices that really supported his well-being from the point of view that he had at the time. And so when we moved in together, there was many days that I didn't make the bed. And I forget how he brought it up. He brought it up in a really roundabout way. It wasn't a direct thing. But when he would come home, he would make the bed. And then I would go up and I would see that he made the bed and realize that I didn't make it in the morning. And so one day we had a conversation about it. And he mentioned how, the moment he'd realized that making the bed made such a difference in his day. And I started looking at the small little daily choices that we make. The small little daily choices that we make that are unconscious, and the small little daily choices that we make that are conscious. for me, the small little daily choices that I make to change consciousness in my world as a whole are pretty intense. Like yesterday I had a live class playing on one phone, a clearing loop playing on the other phone, and a clearing loop playing on my computer. Like creating consciousness, more consciousness for my being is like a OCD thing. I'm obsessed. Making my bed, not so much obsessed. But I am becoming obsessed with creating success in living, success in my businesses, all the little things that you can choose that actually contribute that sense of being and knowing and perceiving and receiving, that sense of success for me. And I'm noticing that when I make my bed or don't make my bed, that there's a difference. When I get up in the morning and I actually do my makeup and I support my, getting ready in the morning, there's a difference. When I am really choosing to create my body, choosing to create food, choosing to create all of that, there's a difference. And it overflows into every area of my life. And so I haven't actually been allowing my body to contribute all that it can from the choices that I've made, the little daily choices that I've made. And this is where this is where this conversation veers off from a traditional weight loss conversation. Because you can come at anything from I have to do this, right? Like I have to lose weight. Okay. Anything you make into a need or you have to resist. And I've done that so many times with this particular process. I have to do this. Truth is you don't. None of us do. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do fuck all. You're an infinite being. You get to do stuff. You get to choose. Hi, Adele. So there's that piece. Would an infinite being have to do anything? No. Do they get to do everything? Yes. So what would I like to choose? So that's part of it. I don't actually know exactly where I was going with all that. Like I lost my train on that one infinite being thought. But in looking, I guess, in circling back around to success is created in all of these small little choices. Like your future is created with these small little choices. As I became aware that I wasn't actually creating my body, I started looking at the future that my current choices were creating. I extrapolated out my current choices into the future. And I was like, if I keep making the choices I'm making now with food and with movement, what is my body in 5 years and in 10 years? And I was like, wow, that's not actually the body I want to create. That's not actually the body I want to create. And you may want to look at that for yourself. Like, what are you currently creating with your choices in regards to your body? Extrapolate that out 5 years from now. Extrapolate that out 10 years from now. Extrapolate that out 15 years from now. Are you choosing the things that are going to create the body you want to have in 5 years and in 10 years and in 15 years? You're the one that chose this body. So are you creating with it in the way that you can? I mean, the body you chose has all these capacities. We all chose different bodies. We all chose different shapes, different sizes, different looks, So are you creating with it what you'd like to have? And if you are, cool. Yeah, cool. Go on to the next video. If you're not, what could you choose that would be different? And I love this question of like, hey, body, will you show me the way? Hey, body, will you show me the way to creating a change here? And I guess I want to wrap up this conversation a little bit with the elements of intimacy because I've had this conversation so many different times with so many different energies, and even on my YouTube channel, if you guys kind of watch my channel, this is really different from the last time I had this conversation. Because for me, this comes from the space of being really intimate with me now. And what I mean by that is total gratitude for me and my body, total gratitude for what I've been choosing, total trust in me. And what I mean by that is like, I trust myself to always do a few things. First, I trust that I'm a weasel and I'll weasel out of certain things. So I need to be willing to trick myself. Number two, that I trust that I will always, always, always go for more, whatever that is. I trust that I work really hard and I like to work. What else? I trust that I'll use every tool in my arsenal that I'm aware of at the time, and that I'll always go looking for more. So I trust me. I trust those things about me. I also, thank you, Hava. Gratitude, trust, honoring. I've also been really asking myself, like, if I were really honoring me, and I were really honoring my body, and I were really honoring the future of me, what would I choose? Is it honoring of me and my body to choose what I'm choosing now in regards to food? To choose what I'm choosing now in regards to movement? No. Okay. What would be more honoring of me? And then there's allowance, another element of intimacy. Total allowance, which is where everything's just an interesting point of view. All the Weight Watchers stuff is just an interesting point of view. All the intermittent fasting stuff is just an interesting point of view. All the fill in the blank is just an interesting point of view. It's all just an interesting point of view. They're all just like somebody at some point in history had some awareness and put it down on paper and put it into an app, and here we go. We've got all these resources, right? All the access tools are interesting points of view. All my points of view are interesting points of view. Total allowance for all of it. For all the judgments I might be functioning from right now, for all the judgments I might choose in the next 10 seconds, all allowance, right? So if I were in total allowance of me, just as I am, what would I choose now? And then bringing into that conversation even more, and are those choices creating the future I'd like to have? And this is where we take the conversation out of preference, which is I want to do that and I don't want to do that, into what are these choices creating? And that's really where I want to wrap up. Oh, after I talk about the last element of intimacy. So we have gratitude, trust, honoring, allowance. What's the last one? Gratitude, honoring, allowance, honor, gratitude, trust, vulnerability. Vulnerability. So if I were willing to be totally vulnerable with myself, what would be true? This is where you begin to open up to brutal honesty with you. Gary says, lie to everybody else, be brutally honest with you. Now that's a whole different video. Don't get all pissy about that right now, but you might want to wonder about it. But do you tend to lie to yourself and be brutally honest with everybody else? What if you were totally vulnerable with you? Vulnerable with what you're creating now, vulnerable with what you'd really like to create, and what else? And I'll wrap up this conversation by talking about preference, because where I've been functioning from with my body, in regards to my body, has been a place of preference of like, well, I don't feel like doing that, and I don't want to do that, and I really want to do this, and I'm craving something, so therefore, so total preference. Instead of, oh my God, I'm really craving something right now. Okay, cool. So what is this? What could I do with it? Right? Like asking questions and really going, okay, so if I choose to eat this Big Mac meal, what's that going to create? Less or more? If I don't choose to eat this Big Mac meal, what's that going to create? Less or more? Moving the conversation from the preference of, yes, I like this and I don't like this, which is total self-interest that doesn't consider the future at all, into what will this choice create? Less or more? And really committing to the choices that create more. Really committing to the choices that create more. So my question for you today, just as I'm wrapping up, first of all, if you want to come play, you're more than invited to ChrystelJCrawford.com/newbodychoices. We start on Wednesday. And then my question is, like, are you using your body to facilitate you into more consciousness, into more awareness of what your choices create? Or instead, are you judging your body? Both of those are choices that you have available. And I've done judgment for a really, really long time. But I made a different demand on myself and I changed it. And you can do that too. And that's a lot of what we're going to be, that's some of what we're going to be covering in the 21 days, obviously. And you can also go to the 10 Keys to Total Freedom and change your life there. That's a book. But what have you been being with your body? And if you were willing to allow and be vulnerable, to allow your body to contribute all that it could, what would you choose now? Are you currently choosing the things that will create more for you and your body, that will create a future for you and your body? Or are you choosing something else? And what would you like to choose? I'm grateful. If you liked this, tell your friends about it. And we can spread the love. And if you want to come play, you know where to go. ChrystelJoyCrawford.com/newbodychoices. I adore you, and I'll see you next week.